the nation.
Ragin Review.
The Ragin Cajuns will be a source of pride for this university, for the alumni, fans, and donors as we achieve success in the classroom, in the competitive arena, and in the community.
It's about to get really fun.
We're looking for dudes that will stand up. Well, Coach, let me tell you today, I'm here and I'm ready to stand up. And I challenge you, Ragin Cajun Nation, to stand up with us. Stand up with us. Let's lock hand in hand and let's walk through the gates of Omaha.
Hey, I love y'all boys. Let's grind every day starting today. Let's do it. Y'all ready? Alert! Ready? Who's that team ready? Who's that team ready? That's up.
I got one thing to say right here. Cajuns win!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Ragin Review podcast. Nicholas, Gerald Paul, back again for another rousing edition of the show. Lots to get to tonight. Can't wait to do the reaction to the reaction. That's going to be the most fun.
Time out. His middle name is Paul. Gerald Paul.
Gerald Paul.
You learn something new every day, right?
Oh, I'm going to start calling you Gerald Paul.
Yeah. Sorry, Jerry.
That is my name.
That is my name, man. Your internet's boomer. You're boomer. Your name's boomer, bruh.
Oh, y'all some haters, man. I swear.
The youngest guy here is the most boomerish.
It's a shame how we treat this guy.
I love you guys too.
Anyway, let's get to stuff. First of all, want to thank Gordon McKernan, Injury Attorneys. Harder to say than you think. We're going to be doing a ticket giveaway, by the way, to get you guys in the seats because, we had a little difficulty last week. So we're going to do everything we can to get folks in the seats this week, Thursday. And depending on when you watch this episode, it'll be probably the day of. So ticket giveaway. We got 3 tickets for anybody that needs to get in the stadium. Just hit us up. You can DM. You can, you can call the show if you need, whatever. You guys can chat us as well. Gordon McKernan, obviously, you guys know we announced our partnership last week. It's been a great partnership so far. Alex Ludwig has gotten those tickets to give away to you guys. Gordon has multiple offices: Alexandria, Baton Rouge, Denham Springs, Gonzales, Hammond, Lafayette, Lake Charles, Monroe, Shreveport, and Zachary. So if anybody in those areas are listening to the show and you need an injury attorney, check out our guy at Gordon McKernan. Also, if you need to get to him in the Lafayette area, in the Acadiana area, check him out at 2505 Verrott School Road, Lafayette, Louisiana, 70508, and you can call him locally, 337-545-2395. Also toll-free at 888-271-3687. Cool thing about Gordon and the team, they're going to be here Thursday to support the Cajuns in person. They're bringing a big contingent of employees to Cajun Field, which will help us #pack Cajun Field. And I'm excited about that more than anything. I mean, they put their money where their mouth is. They go out and they support the communities that they say they're going to support. So I think that's a cool initiative, and I'm fired up to give away some tickets. So hit us up for tickets. We've got 3. We'll get you in the stadium for free. And come say hello to us. Obviously, we want to have a good time. Also, our other partner that we announced last week, Lafayette Roofing and General Contractors. Darren Doming and the team, they do roofs. They do roofs as well. Of course they do roofs, but they do other things as well. Siding installation, gutter installation, roof maintenance, roof assessments, sheetrock services, interior painting, exterior painting. They have financing available to people who qualify, which is actually not a common thing around here. So that's definitely something you might want to look into. But Darren is an RCAF member. They've been voted best of by Times of Acadiana, et cetera, et cetera. They do great work, and they've been doing it for a long time around here. Avid Cajun supporters. They, look, you guys need to support the people that support us. He opens his wallet to the Ragin Cajun family. He's opened his wallet to us, and we love Darren. So go check him out. And we'll see Darren at the tailgate on Thursday. So that'll be fun. Boys, how are you?
I'm good, man.
A lot better than last Saturday night, that's for sure.
Oh, man, I can't wait to get to that.
Yeah, we sobered up. But let me tell you, I still, 24-hour rule is supposed to apply. I was still pissed off 3 days later.
Yeah, but hey, Nick, on the bright side, the Stros, world champions, man.
There you go. I almost wore my hoodie, but I figured, Not
See,
tonight.
the thing about like recording yourself being angry is that you listen to it again and you get angry all over again.
And not only that, but it's so freaking cringe listening to yourself go off. I'm like, Dad, I really said that.
Especially when you sober up. It is cringe. Is what it is. All right, let's get to business. We are humbled and excited to welcome your national champion, Ragin Cajun water ski team. We got approached by somebody in the administration that thought it'd be a great idea to hook up. They've been really cool to work with. Coach Gonzalez has been easy and on the ball. That's what I would call it, because a lot of times we got to chase people down to do things, but he was chasing me down today because I was so busy, and I got to give him a shout out because he was on top of things. So shout out to Coach Ryan Gonzalez. All right, so just to give you guys a quick introduction, all right? Everybody hears about the water ski team and how accomplished they are and how, successful they've been. Let me just say, here's the fact. Here, the facts are here. We're going to lay them all out. 3 straight Division I national titles, 9 national titles since 1988. And that was the year that the team was founded in 1988 for the Ragin' Cajuns. In 2021, coming off of a COVID year, they went undefeated and beat the University of Alabama for their second consecutive national title. So, I mean, we're not out here beating William and Mary, okay? We're competing at the top with universities that we all know the name of. So that's pretty cool. It's extremely exciting to welcome these folks to the Ragin' Review podcast. And Coach Ryan, if you don't want to let this will be a cluster if I get everybody in at the same time. So let's talk to you for just a quick second, and then we'll let everybody come in and introduce themselves. First of all, thanks for being here. Can't tell you how much we appreciate this opportunity.
Thank you. We also appreciate it. We go a long time hearing that, we have a water ski team at UL, and, half of the students know that we exist. The other half know that, we're champions. So it's great to finally see that the community is starting to recognize our accomplishments.
Yeah, and judging by the social media sites that I was perusing when we decided, or we knew we were going to get the interview, you guys have a lot of fun. And it looks like an event that I want to be a part of. That was probably my biggest takeaway about learning about the water ski team. Am I accurate in that assessment?
I don't know. I'm not a water skier. I tried water skiing once, tore my hamstring within 3 or 4 feet and gave it up. And but it appears that they have a lot of fun. But I will tell you that as much fun as they have, they work hard, sun up to sundown. They're on the water. They work hard in the classroom. They do a lot of community service work. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun, but, it's a lot of work to maintain those championships as well.
Totally understand. Appreciate those comments. I'm going to bring in the team and start introducing people, if you don't mind. Miss Parker, you'll be our first. First of all, welcome to the Ragin' Review podcast. If you haven't heard of us before, we also like to have a good time. So welcome. Just maybe mention a little bit about your experience with the team so far, and then I'm going to probably ask you about the Stuff the Boat initiative, and we'll go from there after we introduce everybody else.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Yeah, like you said, my name is Parker. I'm the current team captain here at UL, the water ski team. I personally come from Texas, so not as far as some of the other members, but come here, and the team's just like a family. It's the best part.
Welcome. Well, I appreciate you being here, and thanks for choosing to be a Ragin' Cajun. All right, Sage, I know you're sitting in the middle, so I'm going to let you go first. Introduce yourself, and then maybe your friends on each side, and then we'll go from there. Oh, no. We dropped. Okay, well.
Jerry's fault somehow.
Yeah, Boomer Internet, we got infected. All right, Aaron, Lily, Edo, you guys take it. Let's get some introductions.
Guys, I'm England, from North Manchester, and I'm an MBA student.
My name's Lily.
Fantastic.
I'm from New Zealand, and I'm a graphic design major.
I'm Edo. I'm from Italy, and I'm a senior in marketing.
Nice.
We're going to have to get into some World Cup conversation before we get off
Absolutely.
of here.
I heard Manchester. I heard Italy and New Zealand.
We just talk about it, please. As an Italian right now,
Italy isn't in the World Cup.
Yeah, I know that was kind of where I was headed with that.
But you did win Euro last year, so at least you have something there.
Yeah, but I think it's almost worse to win Euros than don't qualify to the World Cup. because that means that we had the team.
I actually agree with that.
That's
All
a
right.
good point.
All right, Sage, let's try it again. You guys go ahead.
Sorry about that. We hit the wrong button by accident, I think. I'm Sage. I'm from Connecticut. I'm a sophomore studying nursing.
I'm Kennedy Hansen. I'm from Minnesota, and I'm a sophomore here at Lafayette. I'm majoring in biology, and it is true that we do have a lot of fun.
My name is Kirsi Wolfisberg, and I'm from Switzerland, and I'm a sophomore, and I study psychology.
Fantastic. Thank you guys for choosing to come here and be part of our university and our community. So we already learned that you guys are from all over the place. I guess my very first question is, how did you end up in Lafayette, Louisiana? And you guys, we'll start with Parker, and then we'll go down the line like we did last time.
Yeah, there's only so many schools that you can go to water skiing. So obviously one of my choices was going to be UL. And after just visiting the team, it was a great environment and a really close family bond that you didn't really see with a lot of the other teams. So for me, it was a no-brainer.
Aaron, Lily, Edo, you guys go ahead.
So for myself, I didn't want to stop skiing while I got my university education. And the US in general being very well known for its university sports, that made me think about it. And I've known about Lafayette, and up in Monroe, they have a ski team as well. I've known about the schools in Louisiana for quite a few years before I came. So I thought, hey, that's a great opportunity to get my education and still be able to ski at a high caliber.
For me, I was approached by the coach at ULM actually, and I was like, sure, I don't have any other plans. Why not go to the US and study and ski? Sounds like a pretty good deal. So I went to ULM for 2 years and then visited the team down here and fell in love with the atmosphere that they have down here in Lafayette, and I transferred my junior year. So never looked back.
So did I hear correctly that you were recruited by ULM from New Zealand?
Yes, that's correct.
Now, you're going to have to explain that connection right there.
Well, basically, I ski professionally in regular tournaments outside of collegiate skiing, and the water skiing sport's not super big, so everyone kind of knows everyone. And the coach just messaged me on Facebook actually and was like, hey, I know you ski, do you have any plans for university? And I was like, no, not really. And then we kind of just kept talking, and then from there I just moved to the US basically.
Well, Zuckerberg connecting the world. Go ahead, Edo.
I actually knew about Lafayette a couple of years before I came here, and I finished high school in the US. I finished high school in Destin, Florida, because of water skiing.
Great place.
So I got recruited by my friend from Austria. That was actually my roommate my first 2 years, and I got recruited by him because I knew, I will say a good 30-40% of the team when I was getting recruited because of Europeans and tournaments back home. So I got recruited, came to visit already knowing that I was going to come here. And my mom made me go to ULM to just check it out. I went for a day, and during the tour, I was like, yeah, I'm going to UL. So I just
just made a lot of fans,
great
buddy.
Choice. Great choice. Great choice. Great decision.
Yeah.
Well, good. Thank you guys very much. That's very interesting. Sage, how did you guys end up here?
So me personally, I've always wanted to ski in college, since middle school, everything. So when I started looking for colleges to go to, I knew right away I wanted to ski in school. I got also reached out to by the ski team, and then looked into UL. I actually never even heard of UL until Edo was going here, and I was like, oh, because I come from somewhere where there's a lot of Bama skiers, so I always knew Bama, and I was maybe gonna go there. But then when I came here, looked at UL, I absolutely fell in love with it here. So that's kind of how I just ended up here.
And then you beat him for a national championship. What's up?
Exactly.
Yeah, for me, I knew a lot of skiers that went to UL, but I was also looking at a lot of other schools as well. I just wasn't sure where I wanted to go. I looked at Monroe a little, but not really. Also, Alabama, they have a pretty good ski team. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to stay in Florida because like a couple years ago I moved to Florida and I trained in Destin, the same place that Edo trains, and he went a year or two before me. And he always told me about it, and a lot of my friends went here. And I just got reached out by the team, and everyone was super nice and super excited whenever I visited. So I just knew it was the place that I wanted to be at and win as a team.
For me, it was more like I would go to European Championships and I would see like some of the current like UL skiers and like alumni, and they would tell me about school here. And I always dreamed about it because I was like, oh, it looks like it's so much fun. Like also with the mix of European like people from all over the world. And then I emailed the school and I was like, hey, I'm interested in coming. And then like I was like, I mean, in my head, I was like, there's no chance I will come here because we have like world champions on our team, European champions, and like I'm not as good as them. So I was like, I'll try and we'll see. And then they emailed me back and they were really interested in me, and then yeah, I got a full ride here. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm coming here. And yeah, then I moved here.
That's so great. So just in a couple of minutes, I've learned that Destin is a hotbed for water ski. We spend a lot of time out there, Jerry. I don't know if Nick does, but Jerry and I definitely spend a ton of time in Destin and 30A and all that area. And then the other thing is that UL is actually worldwide. So all this time we've been saying that, it's actually true, Jerry.
And Lafayette is like 100 times better than Monroe. I mean, we already knew
Also
that, but it's good to hear it from, people from all over the world.
Also
It
that
solidifies that.
So next question, and I think you guys kind of touched on this, but it sounds like not only do you compete collegiately, but some of you guys are doing some professional skiing. Is that correct? Did I hear that right?
Yeah, like there's a lot. Since we're a club sport, we're not an NCAA sport. We have the ability to compete in professional tournaments. Me, myself, I competed in a few pro tournaments this year over in Europe. It was the first time I've done kind of the pro tour, and that was a really cool experience. Skiing with the best of the best is skiing with the people I watched on live streams on YouTube when I was a kid. That was pretty cool. But we're very fortunate to be able to have the professional ski life as well as the collegiate ski life.
Yeah, that's super awesome. How did you do?
I did pretty good in a couple of tournaments, made a little bit of money. But yeah, it took a while to get there, but it was so fun. It was really good fun.
That sounds awesome. Anybody else doing professional skiing?
Actually, me and Kenna just last 2 weekends ago finished the overall Red Bull Pro Tour, completing four tournaments in Calgary, Austria, France, and Florida. And 2 weeks ago, I actually got my first pro podium.
What? So, that is awesome, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Wow,
and
congrats.
Ken as well.
So I didn't go to the first stop in France, but it was my first time competing in the Pro Tour. I went to Calgary and I went to Austria, and that was my first pro win there. So I was super stoked about that. And then, yeah, we just had the last stop in Florida. Went really well for Edo. I was so happy for him, but fortunately I didn't ski the best. But yeah, it's really cool because collegiate skiing is so different than like skiing for yourself. You have a team behind you. You have people that you want to like ski good for. You have everyone behind you cheering for you. So it's so much different than just skiing for yourself and skiing for your coach, I guess. Well, your coach here too, but yeah.
That's awesome. Jerry, you got questions?
Yeah. So you talk about all these different competitions, and it sounds like all of you have traveled all over the place to compete. But, during those competitions, whether they're big tournaments or little tournaments, talk a little bit about a typical competition day. What time do you arrive? Do you do warm-ups? How long does the actual competition last? Just talk about a little bit about that, just to familiarize the fans on just how the schedule works for a competitive day or a competitive weekend in a tournament. And any of you can go first.
For skiing in general, it's a day's worth or multiple days worth of skiing. A lot of tournaments in Florida, especially, they'll be like 3 days long, 2 days long. I'm from Connecticut, so personally, like my backyard tournaments, so to speak, they're like 2 days a day, but it's a day full of skiing. And so the boat is running all day and people are skiing, judging, scoring. Everyone, if you're not on the water, you're on the shore helping out or watching. There's like multiple events in skiing. There's slalom, trick, and jump. And so each one of these disciplines requires different types of judges and scorers. And some people are like trained, so to speak, in those and certified to be a judge or a scorer. And there's different levels. So it's like for certain tournaments, like a pro tournament, you're going to have like the best judges kind of thing at those. And then like a backyard tournament, you can have someone that's like still learning. But a day's worth at a tournament is really just everyone skiing, sitting, watching skiing. Some people warm up, some people don't. It kind of depends on the level of skier. There's no right or wrong answer with anything. It's kind of like what's right for you.
And for like the world championships or something like that, it's about 4 days, and there's prelims and finals. So depending on whether or not there's prelims and finals, if you make those finals or not, you may only ski 1 day or 2 days, or you may ski every day. So it just really depends on the tournament.
But in like collegiate skiing, it's a little bit different. We all go as a team. We take ourselves to tournaments in the region in the fall. Also in the spring as well, we have 2 tournaments, but our main season is in the fall. We go as a team. We stay in hotels over in Texas, up in Monroe. We are up in Arkansas sometimes. We all get up at like 7 o'clock in the morning. Tournament starts at 8. It's different to how we run things in like professional tournaments. So everyone's in the vans going to the lake at the same time. Everyone's cheering their teammates on. None of the team ever miss a skier that's on the water. We all cheer for our team members at every tournament, not just nationals.
Yeah. And for like me personally and Aaron as well, like I'm a certified senior judge and Aaron's a certified driver. So whenever I'm done skiing, I'll go help out with the tournament and do some judging, and Aaron will be driving a lot of the skiers at the tournaments as well. Just basically it's a family sport. Like we all hang out at the lake together, help out, ski, cheer each other on, like pretty much the whole vibe.
Yeah, so I would totally. I'm like Ryan. I would break something if I try to get on the water. So I mean, it's amazing watching the tricks and the different skills that you guys have. That is just completely impressive. Speaking of tricks and jumps and things of that nature, can you explain what are some of the terms you guys use for the different types of jumps that you do, the tricks that you do? Maybe even tell us what's the hardest one for you that you have to try to pull off. We'll start with you guys. Maybe Aaron, you want to tell us what's the most difficult trick for you and what it's called?
So there's 3 different events in skiing. There's slalom, tricks, and jump. I'm best at slalom. Jump's my second event, and I don't really trick that often anymore. It kind of happens one event kind of just subsides unless you're like Kenna and Edo, who do all 3 events. But me myself, I'm a tall guy. I'm a slalomer. So I guess the hardest one is tricks for me. It's finding the willpower to go out and trick. That's the hardest bit for me. Like the flips, because I'm tall. That's really hard. But slalom's my favorite event.
Okay, time out. We got you ladies are all laughing, so we got to find out what you were laughing at while he was talking.
No.
It's just funny because Aaron is a very big guy. So to be able to do tricks like flips, and toes and anything, you need to have a lot of balance. And he's very good on a slalom ski because going around the buoys, like it's very good and beneficial to be super tall. In slalom, however, in tricks, it's considered better to be like smaller.
It's like gymnastics in that sense.
Smaller, thinner, and everything. So, yeah, it's just funny to hear him say that.
Defend Aaron, I saw him trick and he's impressive.
No, but he's a great trick skier when he does trick. That is very true.
Yeah. So Slalom's my favorite event. Boat goes down the middle of a course. You go around 6 buoys. You stop at the end. Boat speeds up by 2 mile an hour. Guys shorten the line at 36 mile an hour. Girls shorten the line at 34 mile an hour. Once you get to those speeds, to make it harder, they start pulling the line in. So it gets shorter each time. So you run 6 buoys, shorten the line. Run 6 buoys, shorten the line. And the winner is basically so being tall in that sense helps you with your reach, getting out to the buoy line. But you know, the winner is the person who gets the most buoys on the shortest line length.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and actually, we just had an alumni from our team just break the European record in slalom.
Wow, that's impressive. That's awesome.
And
Parker,
we've
let's
just
talk
had an
about.
alumni win the women's Open World Championships in slalom.
Wow, that's incredible.
What's her name?
Jamie Bull.
She was here last semester. Like, she was here, not these nationals, but the nationals before. She graduated in the spring of 2022.
Yeah.
All right.
So she was still a student here when she became world champion.
Yes.
Wow. That's sick.
And 2 weeks later, we won nationals.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Which one's the bigger one? We don't really
know. Parker, one question for you. Obviously, Alabama went down. You guys took the Natty. Who are some other prominent universities that we could, drop a name and we'd be like, whoa, you guys beat them? What are some other, nationally recognized universities around in the ski world?
Well, probably the most prominent one is, of course, Monroe. To you guys, yeah, very, very happy to beat Monroe, of course. But other schools that we compete against, just in our region, we compete against the University of Texas, Texas A&M, Texas State. Sorry, my cat's jumping up here. So those are just a couple of schools that we beat, but Alabama and Monroe are probably the most satisfying.
So being from Texas, beating UT and Texas A&M, they aren't for you the most satisfying?
Nah, it's always Monroe. I'd say just like on the level of competition, we're competing more against Bama and Monroe than we are really a lot of the other Texas schools. So that's why they're more satisfying.
Are there any other in-state schools in Louisiana that you compete against, or is it just mainly Monroe?
Currently, it is just us and Monroe that compete collegiately. In the past, LSU had a ski team. However, they no longer have one.
Nice. So you guys compete in, I think it's 6 tournaments each year, right?
We have usually 4 or 5 tournaments in the fall and 2 in the spring.
Okay. So, and that's usually around Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, right?
Yes. Typically, most of the schools are held in Texas. Monroe will host a tournament every fall, and we ourselves host our own tournament in the spring.
And where do you guys host that at?
We host Fleur de Ski, which is our annual tournament, at our own practice site, which is called Airport Lake. It's right behind the airport. And every year, it should be in April. The dates haven't been set yet, but we always host it and have a good time.
So, guys, tell me a little bit about the Lafayette tournament. What's the vibe? What's the atmosphere like? And just in general, do you get more hyped up to be playing skiing in front of the home crowd?
And can we go and watch?
Yes. And can we go and watch?
For sure. Definitely. I think Fleur de Ski was one of the coolest tournaments, obviously besides nationals, that for collegiate skiing. It was really cool, like putting on an event as a team, because we all work together a lot. And also we get so much support from the community already. But around Fleur de Ski time, we see even more support from the community. A lot of our food comes from donations. And so that's one way we also can make money, is by some food during the tournament. And all of it's donated. Yes,
Can you guys see the questions?
At the lake. There's plenty of alligators. No sharks.
No sharks.
Some
There's
garfish.
garfish.
Yes.
Very big
Garfish,
garfish.
Yeah. They like
A lot of
hopping.
alligators. We have had some pretty close encounters with alligators. However, they're usually very scared of the boat. Some of them can be aggressive, and in that case, we'll have them taken out of the lake. But our lake actually connects to a swamp, so there's no stopping them from really coming in. So
it's their natural habitat. They just go away.
I'm sincerely more scared of the garfish than
Yeah.
than the gators. Gators don't really they're chill. They stay out of your way. I have some pretty close garfish just eating like while skiing. I see these 6-7 feet gar just
big splash
just
next
big
to you.
splash like a meter from me or whatever feet that
Okay,
is.
let's
And I'm
go.
like, maybe it's going or like
Yeah.
change side.
Like I
side of
dropped
the lake.
in the water the other day, and my ski hit something as I was like sinking down
Oh.
into the water, and we were in the middle of the lake, and I was like, okay, that's definitely a fish because there's nothing out here, and I was like, okay, let's go, like start the boat. Oh, I was so stupid.
A garfish are the ugliest fish known to mankind.
Yeah,
It's
terrible.
terrible.
They eat all our boys.
You know, the whole thing about the alligator, that's just toughen you up. That's why you guys are so successful, because you go through the hard knocks with the alligators and the garfish.
We don't fall. If you fall, that's what we say to the recruits. If you fall, we get eaten by a gator. So just don't fall.
Kirsty first semester, she was practicing and she saw one go by, and she was practicing a new trick.
Yeah.
Luckily, she made it.
That's awesome. So, obviously, you guys kind of talked about the tournaments and things like that. What does the road to the national championship look like? Is basically everything kind of dependent upon the last tournament of the season? Like, do you qualify for the tournament? How does that work?
Yes. So we do have to qualify for nationals. We do have a regional tournament every year, different location usually, but the winner of regionals will automatically go to nationals. So the past several years, we've automatically gone to nationals without having to worry about qualifying. However, otherwise, it is done by point system. So they put all of our scores against everybody else that skis with us, and then we qualify that way.
Got it. And so in my research, I noticed that they take individual points and then they also accumulate team points. So are there any individual national champions among us? And are there any All-Americans among us? If there are, please speak up.
Yes, I actually won as a freshman my first collegiate nationals in tricks. And this year I won in overall, which is slalom, tricks, and jump combined together. I was pretty stoked about that. It was pretty cool because my strongest discipline in skiing, I would say, is overall. And also another one of our teammates won beside me in the men's category, and he also won overall. So it was cool. We also got the team title, and 2 people on our team got the overall titles for individual.
So when you say overall, you mean slalom, trick, what all does that entail?
Yeah, it's slalom, trick, and jump, and all your points from them, they have like this system, but all of your points combined give you an overall score, and then they get compared with other overall skiers that are skiing. So if someone only does slalom, they cannot, they're not available for the overall title, but just anyone else who is doing all 3 events at collegiate nationals is fighting for the overall title.
Anybody else want to brag?
Myself, last year, this year I was injured, so I didn't actually get to compete this year. But last year, when the nationals was over in Bennett's Water Ski Wakeboard School over in Zachary in Baton Rouge, I came back with the win in men's slalom. I think your freshman year.
I won trick my freshman year in 2019. So the first national that we won, it was the first man event, and the first day, and I won trick. It was the end of the day. It was incredible.
Yeah, set us off on the right foot.
That's awesome.
Yeah, just the second.
So basically, we understand that you guys pretty much run the team yourselves. I mean, it's basically a student-run situation.
Right.
Do you guys split responsibilities? Do some of you take care of the equipment? Do some of you fundraise? Maybe talk to us about how you guys actually run your organization. And Parker, you can get started.
It is mostly student run. For equipment, every person takes care of their own skis. Every member, in what event they do, they have their own personal equipment. So pretty much everyone will take care of that. However, when it comes to our course and our site, we do pretty much all the maintenance ourselves. So anytime there's a problem with the course, we go out there ourselves and we fix it. Actually, a couple of years ago, the hurricane destroyed our jump ramp. and we had to fundraise and fix it ourselves.
Yeah, speaking of which, so because water skiing is not an NCAA sanctioned sport and it is a student run organization, what do you do to fund the program and how do you fundraise?
We do get some funding from the school, which is extremely helpful. However, we do take a lot of donations from previous alumni that help run the team and just various other sponsors that helps out the team a lot.
Yeah, we're very grateful to our alumni who've done well for themselves, or help in any way that they can to help fund us, give us any help, any other way than funding as well. A few years ago we were stuck for a boat. One of our alumni stepped up. Joe Spell of Tides Medical stepped up. He said, "Hey, you guys need some help. I'll help you. We'll help you get you guys a boat." So we're very thankful to people like him. Alumni as well, like Harry Spavin. He's come on as a assistant team coach recently as a new role, and he's had a lot of insight for us. He was a previous team captain when he was a student here, so we're very thankful for him as well.
That's awesome, Jared. Before you ask your next one, real quick on the same topic, do you guys get scholarships to ski, or do they do the tops thing, or so you guys do get scholarships to ski?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yes.
I didn't know if it worked because it was a club sport, and I was just very curious about how that went down.
It's kind of like a weird in between. I say there's definitely, like we said, like we do get some support from the school, and we're super thankful for it. The reason why a lot of like Louisiana at Lafayette and also ULM are like two of like the bigger schools is also because they're two big scholarship schools. They're more known for recruiting and for being able to give scholarships. And so if you just look at the composition of the teams, you'll see a lot more international students than Americans. UL is prone usually to have like way more international students than Americans. Currently, right now, we have, I think, more Americans than we typically do. We have, I think, more Americans than Europeans right now, and just like international students in general. But one of the reasons why we are so fortunate to be able to have all these people from everywhere is because of these scholarships and the support from the school. So, yeah.
My freshman year, we had 3 Americans on the team.
My freshman semester as well, we had like 4.
And like now, I think it's about 8 Americans, which is the majority. No, maybe not that.
It's not the majority.
It's like 9 or 10. But a lot of us aren't local. None of us are from Louisiana. The closest people are from Texas or Florida, I guess. But all of us, like I'm from Connecticut. We have a girl from California, Ohio. We're all over the state, or I mean the country, and also just the world in general. So it's pretty cool.
See that? Ragin Cajun water skiing, just bringing the world together. I love
Right.
it. I
Yeah,
love
exactly.
It.
Well, our own little
of course
family.
Yeah.
There you go. Hey, we're definitely ecstatic to have all of you here. So please bring them more. Bring some more good water skiers. But of course, the water ski team is led by Coach Ryan Gonzalez. Of course, he was here earlier. But to each of you, talk a little bit about Coach Gonzalez and what he means to you and this water skiing program.
I personally love Ryan. Ryan helped me so much to come here, get into the school with giving a scholarship, and I see him as like the head of the whole team. He just makes sure that we have what we need to practice, like to ski our best. And I know I just love Ryan. Great success. Great guy.
Yeah, like I mean, we don't need help in terms of coaching each other and driving each other. We do that ourselves out at the lake. We go out whenever we like. Another beauty of not being an NCAA sport, honestly. We get to go out whenever we want. We don't have to be up at 6 o'clock in the morning running around the field, which I'm very thankful for myself. But like Ryan helps us in so many other ways. He helps us with connections to university. I know personally, I've had problems with some classes. I text Ryan. He says, "Oh, I'll text my friend." I'm like, how do you know this person? Like, so he's got so many connections within the university itself that he can help us with almost anything. Also helps that he's good friends with Dr. Bowie as well, so he can call him up if we ever have any issues. But yeah, he does so much more than what his name title suggests.
Yeah, Ryan is one of the biggest reasons why I came here, because he reached out to me so much and always provided me with so much information on the school and anything we ever could need. He'll do his best to give it to us or to help us in any circumstance. So he's always there for us. So yeah, he really means a lot to all of us. Even though he doesn't ski, we still love him. He's great.
I definitely think Ryan, like Kenna said, there's a lot of information when you're coming into the school. My dad has a lot of questions. He was answering all the questions. He is not afraid to go and help you out or help your family out in any circumstance. And here at UL, one of the biggest reasons why I chose to come here is because I knew coming into school, I wanted a ski team that felt like a family. And we do so many things on and off the water together. Obviously, we all coach each other, ski with each other. A lot of us work out together at like CrossFit Acadiana or Ragin. And we do a lot of things together on and off the water, which is amazing. And really Ryan, because he's not necessarily like on the water coach, I feel like he's very much so our like family coach, if that makes sense. He keeps us all together and he like makes sure that we're all connected, I guess. And we all already are, but it's really nice having a family here that we all can rely on when our families are 1,000 miles away. So it's really nice.
Wow, that's really well said. Sounds like Ryan's all right.
Yeah.
And I can tell you from my few interactions with him, he's been a A+ guy. So all checks out. This is something I get asked all the time. First of all, when are you guys going to get the water ski team on? Second question, how do we go watch them? So if I'm just a regular person in Lafayette and I want to go check you guys out, how do I go to, we'll just say the event in April in Lafayette. How exactly does that work? Are there tickets? Do people just show up? Is there protocol of any kind? Help us with that, Parker, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, there's no tickets. It is open to the public. We have a spot on the lake. Usually we set up tents and seating, so people can just come, show up, and watch. We normally put out flyers and post on social media once we know the dates and the times, so we can let everybody know. Anybody can come.
Good to know. Now, everybody can watch the episode. I can stop getting bothered. Okay, that. And then the other question, and I had the same question as Carson T here. So obviously you guys look like you have a ton of spirit, and everything I've seen you guys do from, like I said, my research, you having a good time. You guys are the life of the party. So if there is another sport that you all follow, what is it and what's your favorite? And I'm sure the answer is volleyball because that's what everybody says.
Personally, I love the football team. I love watching them, and was really sad to see them lose. They're pretty upset, but yeah, I guess that's the main team that we follow here on campus.
I know we also follow basketball, I guess, in
the
winter.
Yeah, we all go to the basketball games. We'll go to a lot of games together. Like we'll text in the group chat and be like, hey, who wants to go to the game tonight? Or I'm going to the game with blah, 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 and who wants to come? So we typically go to the games together. Obviously, this last weekend we were recognized on the field, which was a huge honor. Last year when we went on that was really cool. I'm a sophomore right now, and so coming in freshman year with winning back-to-back because they won it back in 2019 before I was here, and being recognized on the field like they were back in 2019, it's an honor that the school gives us, and it's really cool to get recognized in front of the student crowd because, like we said, like a lot of people know about the ski team, but a lot of people also don't. Some people are like, no way, that's so cool. I know this person. And then other times people don't really know about us. So getting that recognition in front of the whole school is really cool. So yeah, we follow a lot of sports, love the sporting events, and just cheering on. So.
Lily, what do you like? You like volleyball, don't you?
No, like personally coming from New Zealand, I had never seen American football before. And like my first 2 years of college, I think, I was like, what is this sport? Like they're not even playing half the time. They're just standing around talking to each other.
Hey, listen, this is a fact. In American football, there's 11 minutes out of a 3.5-hour game of actual action. You can look it up. Exactly. 11 minutes, like roughly 11 minutes.
Like I was so confused. I was like, what is happening? Like, and in my country, rugby is like the biggest sport, which is basically football, but like without all the protection, and it's just like brutal.
For real, man.
Yeah.
By protection, you mean pageantry.
So like, once somebody actually explained, it took 2 years for someone to explain me the rules, and then I was like, oh, actually, like this is really interesting, and then I enjoyed watching it, and then yeah, we all go to the games together. So
we also have like a fantasy football league within our ski team as well, so that gets a bit competitive every now and then as well. But
I beat this guy 2 years ago for the win
in the final as well.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. Like, I feel like football is my favorite, and then I always loved basketball. So it's really cool to see the team in the spring semester. Yeah, like from Italy. I'm a big soccer guy, and in the beginning when I moved to Florida, my coach was a huge football guy. So we had fights of what sport was better. And about my sophomore year in college, I kind of started liking football. So now I'm really into it. And I love to go watch games. We live literally like a 5 minutes walk from the stadium, so that's great.
Well, you might live by me. So do I. Where in Florida were you?
Me, Destin, Santa Rosa Beach. The town right next to it is like Santa Rosa is not Destin yet.
Hey, that's where I'm at. I got a place in Santa Rosa, dude.
Where?
So Bayside, do you know where there's a little park right on the bay? If you
yeah,
I'll tell you after the show because I don't want anybody coming to my
I was about to say, man.
No, I kind of got lost for a second. Parker, what's your deal?
On the other side of Highway 98.
On the bay side?
The bay side.
Yeah.
The
restaurant Louis.
Yes.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah,
like if there's a road that goes across, that's where we at.
There's 3 lakes there that a lot of us train at, actually.
Yeah, me included as well.
All right. Well, wear your red. I'll come talk to you. Parker, baseball. No.
Personally, it's basketball.
Basketball? Okay.
Baseball, can't do it.
He's got these people from all over the place. They don't know how good it is. Jerry, so Nick was a PA for baseball and basically grew up with our former coach, Tony Robichaux. So we're all baseball folks, but of course we follow everything. You know, we do a podcast and things like that.
Of course.
All right. Before we get you guys out of here, last thing. How do we contact you if we want to follow the program? If we want to find you guys individually, I guess social media is probably the best way to do it. But if you could tell the folks out there a good way to follow the team, please do that.
Yeah, we have. Oh, go ahead. You can go ahead.
Okay. So I run the social media for our team. So on Instagram, our name is Cajun Ski. And we post regularly. And we also have a Facebook page. So it's Ragin Cajun Water Ski Team. So yeah, those are the 2 main places where you can find us on social media.
We also have our website, RaginCajunWaterski.com. We also do a lot of events in the local community. Tomorrow, actually, we are doing a canned food drive and clothing drive at Rouse's on Bertrand called Stuff the Boat from 6 to 9. So you can find us on social media and all around the community.
Thank you for circling back to that because I think I started and totally skipped it.
So if you're on the way to the game, if you're on the way to the game tomorrow, you know you'll see us over at Rouse's. Give us a. We'll take cash donations as well. Any non-perishable goods. It'll be going to the Catholic Charities of Acadiana. Any clothing, non-perishable goods, canned foods, anything like that. But if you don't have any of that, we are going to be right next to a grocery store, so you can go and buy some yourself. Go buy a pack of ramen, something like that. I don't know. We want to. The event's got bigger and bigger over the past few years. We've been doing it, so we want to make it the biggest yet. So let's get our boat stuffed.
Appreciate that, Aaron. And Coach Ryan, if I remember right, this is a joint effort between veteran programs and what is it? The Catholic Diocese or the Catholic Charities?
Catholic Charities, yeah. Our student veteran organization teams up with these guys every year, right before Veterans Day. It's usually done on Veterans Day, but since it's done on, since Veterans Day falls on a Friday, we decided to do it the day before, and it's also game day, so we'll have a lot of traffic right there at Rouse's. So it was an opportune time to do it right there at Rouse's the day before, and it all benefits the Catholic Charities of Acadiana used to benefit St. Michael's Homeless Center for the Veterans. This year, the majority of the donations will be going to Catholic Charities, and they give that all to the Food Net, which all of our homeless veterans do eat right there at the St. Joseph's Diner.
Well, we'll do everything we can to drive some traffic to you guys because I think it's a fantastic initiative. Everybody, ladies, gentlemen, appreciate you all joining us. It's been fantastic. I've learned a ton tonight. I think I speak for the other guys by saying we're humbled to have you all. You guys represent us so well. Of course, the success is great, but just to see you guys' faces and see what kind of individuals you are, I'm thrilled that you're part of our university and that you represent our community. So thanks for coming on. If you guys have any final thoughts, please, floor is yours.
Just thank you for having us. We feel humbled to be on here. We're seeing some of the stuff that you guys have done. It's great, and we'd love to be a part of it.
Yeah, it's really cool for you guys to have this. So thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you.
Nick, Jerry, you got anything?
Well, I'm one of those people for years. I've always known we had a water ski team, and the other thought that crossed my mind was we would win national championships. But now that we can actually meet you, it was an honor to have you guys on. Not often we win national championships in many sports, and to have one of our own represent us not only to the country but to the world on the type of team we have, that means a lot to us. Getting recognized, showing that you are the best team in the country. So on behalf of Ragin Review and as an alum, as a Cajuns fan, thank you for representing us in the best way possible and by winning championships, and also doing what you do in the community as well. You're a great representation of this university, and hope to have you back on soon.
We'd love it.
Yeah, I'll keep it short. You guys are freaking awesome. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, you guys. Good luck on the rest of your media tour. I know that gets old. Take care.
So,
Alrighty.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Go Cajuns! Go Cajuns! Thank you.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Maybe I should unmute. All right. Well, that was really cool.
Here these guys are talking about, yeah, I went skiing in Canada and Switzerland and Austria and France. And I'm like, well, this one time I was on a party barge on Lake Arthur and I sat with a beer. That was fun.
I think I sunk a party barge in Lake Austin once.
I'm so uncultured. Like, are you kidding me?
We've
You're
done
like
nothing.
20 years old skiing around the world.
Yeah, man. Super cool.
Crazy.
I think that was what's so cool about it. That was one thing I learned is we have so many international student athletes for this water ski team. I mean, Switzerland, New Zealand, England, Italy. That is so cool because that you don't think about those type of things, all these international competitors, and the fact that they chose us to come play to play here or compete here. And no, that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed getting to know these really, really great ambassadors to our school.
Yeah, my only regret is that we didn't get to chop it up with Edo, with the Italians not making the World Cup. That would have been fun.
Second time in a row too.
Oh,
that's the weird thing. They didn't make it in 2018. They won in 2020. They won Euro.
Yes.
They beat England, and then they don't make it again in 2022. Total mystery to me. I don't get that.
I don't understand.
I have no idea what you guys are talking about right now.
Come on, Nick, you don't follow the World Cup?
I mean, I watch the World Cup when it's on TV and interrupting like Price is Right, but other than that, I don't get that into it.
Well, if you're wondering, on Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, the U.S. plays England in the first match. So if you're interested, yeah, turn it on.
And
Hey,
I
by
play
the way,
FIFA. I
dude,
play FIFA on.
I don't know if you guys know Sam Stokes, but he's from Lafayette. He created this apparel line. It's called Since 76 Apparel. And they've got some really awesome T-shirts, and one of them is they have blue and white, but it's a like an older Patriot, American Patriot, and at the bottom of it it says "Beat England again." I think it's great. Yeah, it's really good.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Salty.
Love it.
I had to give him a plug because it's just too good. So I guess we'll get back to football. I don't know. I kind of want to go out and like try to wake skate, but have you guys ever tried to wake skate?
I'd break a shells if I tried to wake skate, whatever that is.
Oh,
I just
man.
know it would not be successful.
It's
I'd
like
rather-
wakeboarding without the boots.
No.
Okay,
I'd rather
that,
not.
Yeah.
that sounds awful.
We did that when we were teenagers. It was a riot. Okay. All right, moving on to the more serious stuff. you know, there was a big reaction to our reaction about the crowd for Troy last Saturday. And the reaction I thought was appropriate from us. I mean, I thought that the public reacted kind of the way we expected them to. 10% mad that we even pointed it out. And the rest of the 90% mostly said, yeah, this is a problem. So I thought it was something that we should bring up, kind of cap it, put a bow on it. We all know how we got here. We talk about this regularly between us three, and there's a few others that we talk about. I wanted to give Jerry the opportunity to kind of lay it all out from a timeline standpoint from like 2010, 2011 to now. So basically a decade of all the little things that people forget that happened and why we got 7,888 people to pay for a football game. And some of it, it'll probably kind of jog your memory of where we started in 2010 at the end of Bustle. The things that occurred during HUD, the things that occurred during Napier, and then everything that has precipitated to this point in the season now. I think after we kind of lay it all out, it makes a hell of a lot more sense. And then, then we can go from there. But Jerry, I know you prepared for that. So let's go back to 2010, end of Bustle, insert HUD. Where are we at this point? How do we feel as a fan base in 2010?
So I guess I'll just break it down like this. Really what happened was you had a few events in between this 12-year span up until today that has caused a little bit of friction within our fan base to really commit. So, for example, you take the end of Bustle, okay? You go 3-9. One of those losses, pretty much the icing on the cake for his tenure here, was that Western Kentucky game at homecoming, 2010. That was my senior year.
That was Western Kentucky's first FBS win.
And they had a 28 game losing streak going in, beat us by 33 at home, again on our homecoming. So you had 15,000 for that one. At that point, everybody knew it was the end of Coach Bustle's tenure here. Okay, in comes Coach HUD. He brings energy. He talks about how we're that ticking time bomb waiting to explode, and how the fans have to light the fuse. And so he brought excitement. He brought energy. And at the time, you didn't have ESPN Plus. You didn't have all of these different streaming networks to watch games. What happened was, at the time when Coach Bustle came in, there was a yearning to want to win. Even during Coach Bustle's years, even when we would go 6-6, that picture we posted on Ragin Review Twitter for the homecoming in 2008, we went 6-6 that year. We had 29,000 people. At the time, we were so hungry to.
If I can say this real quick, we came off of a 3-9 season, and that game, we were 4-3 playing FIU. We weren't playing USM. We weren't playing App State. We weren't playing Coastal. We were playing FIU, coming off of a 3-9 season and 4-3. I just want to give some perspective before we go any further.
Well, remember, that was also the game where Terrell Finroy had that his thing where he clinched that 1,000-yard season, making it 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons. But with that said, that same day, we like to talk about LSU has games on the same day. LSU played Tulane that day in Baton Rouge. So they had a game in Baton Rouge, and we still had 29,000 people attend our homecoming game against FIU. Packed house. If you look at the picture, I'm on the rail in the student section. I mean, I had to be in my spot an hour before kickoff. So you had all of those times where we were just so close to getting over that hump, and people were just anticipating victory and anticipating consistent wins. And then you had that 2010 season that I mentioned, and then in comes HUD with the energy that I talked about. And then you go on a 6-1 run to start the season. And so really what happened that 2011 season, including that New Orleans Bowl win, was winning was new. Winning was new. You had a 9-4 record. It was your first time you had won since 1993. You had won that many games. So winning was new from 2011 to 2014, including the New Orleans Bowl victories and the way HUD was able to market the program and did all of these things that got fans to the game. And then again, ESPN Plus was a new thing. So you didn't really have many games that were televised. People would just go to the game. So during that time, that was probably the peak of our fan support on a consistent basis. We averaged anywhere from 25 to 28,000 all the way from 2011 to 2014. They decided to add seats in the end zone because the talk of building the new stadium or redoing the upper deck was just getting started. And they figured, I guess the administration figured, well, we're bringing this many people, we're going to put we're going to add seats to the end zone, which would basically compensate for the attendance. Well, fast forward to 2015, you go 4-8. You go 4-8, and now the attendance is going from 22 to 23,000 down to 16 to 17,000. And then 2016, that was the year where I think you had that was the straw that broke the camel's back, the locker room video. We had already started the season, I believe, like 4-5 or 4-6. We had the losing season the year before in 2015. Then the locker room video hits. And, of course, that was during the time, of course, when we had the 2016 presidential election. We know on a national scale how intense that was. And I know that rubbed a lot of fans here the wrong way. And then when Coach Hud made the comments about, well, if you voted for a certain candidate, you're this or this or this, that was the point where I think the fans were like, I'm done. And I know Coach Hud had mentioned that in his interview with us, how if there were some things he could change, it was how he approached that video. But a lot of people didn't come back because of that. And that was the beginning of the end, not only for Coach Hud, but the attendance. Because in 2017, that was the first year we never eclipsed a crowd of 20,000 or more, which was the first time in almost 20 years that had happened. And then because
Jerry,
lost
real
all that
quick,
trust.
another thing that happened, the way that he handled the sanctions, the way that he handled,
I forgot to mention that.
So if anybody doesn't remember, we got in trouble for.
We got put on probation.
We got put on probation because of ACT stuff. And what my biggest takeaway as a supporter was HUD went around and he'll tell you this, and people know. I mean, this is old news. He went around telling our supporters and our biggest donors, it's fine. We're gonna get off. We got nothing. They're not gonna do anything. Well, they took away a lot of scholarships, and they took back our bowl wins.
Yeah.
And some regular season wins because of Quinn Griffin.
And I'm glad you mentioned that.
So not only did he had already his trust was already being eroded with that. Then the locker room thing that happened. Then his reaction to the locker room thing happened. And then we started losing.
Yep. It was a snowball effect. And so that's when 2017, that Georgia Southern game, the last game of the season, the student section looked exactly like it did last week. I remember, Josh, we were talking about that even back then. We were like, yeah, this is it. You go from 29,000 a game, and I think they said it was 13,000, but the crowd was probably just as much as last weekend. And that's when in comes Billy Napier. Billy Napier, it took him 2 or 3 years up until COVID to actually build trust back into the fan base from all of that backlash that we got 3 or 4. That's 3 or 4 years of just of bad attendance. And that's why I think it took Billy a long time to get the crowd back. And then right when we were about to back, COVID hits. So, in 2020, we had 6,000 people, but that was because it was limited capacity. And then in 2021, last year, after we had won in 2020, you did get 25,000 to some of these Saturday games. But the problem was we had a few games on Thursday night later in the year. It was cold. It was Thanksgiving weekend. So we weren't getting the big crowds we expected. But last year we had just started getting those crowds back. But if you take into consideration, we got off probation. You had the locker room video. A lot of fans remember those days back in the late 90s during the Audemars era where we just didn't give money. And a lot of fans are at the point they're like, why bother? Why should I go? And I know it's a sad excuse, but a lot of fans just, it's that CDS, Cajun disaster syndrome. I think that had a lot to do with it.
And I'm going to ask Nick this because I want to get his opinion. When you have the success, you start for success, right? When HUD gets here, you have the success. Cajuns fans, Cajuns alumni, past athletes, they're bought in. We all saw it. When you average 30,000, people are bought in, the community for sure. When you get put on probation and they basically told you were cheating. I remember feeling as a fan, and I mean, we're the most diehard as it gets, but I remember feeling as a fan, oh, well, that's how we did it. And I don't care if other people do it. I know everybody does it, but We had never dealt with that before, not like that.
But I
So,
want you to
Nick,
take. I'm sorry, Nick, before you go, I want to take one thing into consideration. For a lot of fans that have been around for decades, people still remember the basketball problem back in the 70s. You're ranked in the top 5 or top 10, then you get the death penalty. There was a lot of deja vu when we got on probation in 2015, considering the fact that that was really the best stretch of 4 years of Cajuns football that we've ever experienced. And then half of the wins get taken away because you cheated. So to a lot of fans, it's like, well, heck, man, if, just like basketball, if we get caught cheating in basketball back in the day and we did this again, it goes back to the 2 words, why bother? And then, of course, last year, but then it goes to this year. But what I'm saying is it goes to this year as well, where now we're not winning all of a sudden, and I think it's that vicious cycle of why bother, why bother, why bother, why bother.
You're right.
That's why we're where we are.
You're right about the cycle. I was going to say we were at an all-time high with momentum, and people were bought in. What is the worst thing that can happen? They both happened. You're a cheater, and now you're calling me an idiot because of my political beliefs. Those two things, look, regardless of how you believe anything, Chutzpah's biggest donors voted for the guy that they were trashing in the locker room. That's a fact. You can't challenge that. I mean, you got to know as a coach and a public figure, you steer clear of that stuff. You avoid it like the plague.
And he said it to us, right? It was a mistake. I mean, he didn't even believe what he was saying. And I do believe when he says that, because I think he was just trying to have the players' backs. So yeah, I get it, but we still got to do better as a community, man. I mean, we've got an FBS formally ranked team. Show up to the games. Just show up to the games. And I get there are these issues out there, but we make the atmosphere, and it's our only team in Lafayette. And again, we pride ourselves so much on culture and so much on how we support each other, but we got to show up to these games and support these kids who chose to come here, that could have gone other places, that were offered to go other places, but they chose us. And I feel like we're not choosing them as a community. We fans are, we're supporting them, but our community, for whatever reason, and we could talk about the reasons, we have talked about the reasons, just don't get involved with the team unless we're winning. As soon as there is a slight bump in the road and it gets uncomfortable, there's one excuse of many that you can use to not go to the games. And I think that's what it really comes down to, is we have to eliminate as many excuses and barriers for people to go to the games as possible. Winning or losing, we can only do so much, because talent, we got to play the game in the end. But remove the other barriers, such as the cost of tailgating now for some of the RV spots, and the concessions issues and the parking issues. Once you start removing those barriers, I think things will improve. We're not going to get 29,000 on a Thursday night, but I think they will improve a little bit. But again, and we've talked about it, we've got to make going to the game the place that you want to be. We look at the Ice Gators. They were drawing 12,000 fans for a AA hockey team, and they were winning, and it slowly declined. Attendance slowly declined. They were still winning, but it went down because they overpriced the tickets. They made it more difficult for you to go to the games, and it just wasn't as fun.
It's a case study of why we shouldn't follow that model.
Exactly. So I think we might have grown up a little too fast and asked for bigger donations for things. But if you're getting the money, then great, you can raise the prices. But then when you don't have the audience to pay those prices anymore, you got to reevaluate what people will pay to be in those spots. Because like I told you a couple pods ago, I was sitting out there just casually listening to people that saying, well, we tailgated out here for years, but they just outpriced us. We can't afford it anymore. And I'm looking down and it's empty. I'd rather get something, a little bit of something and have it full than get a whole lot of nothing.
And we can do an entire pod on tailgating, and maybe we will. Maybe it deserves an entire pod, because at one time we were known for tailgating. And I remember the big argument back then was, how do we get the people in the parking lot into the stadium? Well, now we need to figure out how to get the people back in the fence, in the tailgating area, because that's really where you start. But I think you made a comment about how we grew up too fast. I just think that we raised the prices to our arbitrary numbers. We started calling App State. We started calling, all these other people were coming from Auburn and Texas A&M and Missouri, and we're calling all these other people saying, oh, what do you guys charge? Oh, that's way more than what we charge. How can we not charge that? It's arbitrary.
And
our,
not only
and our
that,
fans didn't know how to act to it.
you priced, not only did you price them out of Cajun Field, but LSU is welcoming them with open arms for less money than they paid before.
Dude, let me tell you, me and Jerry had this conversation on the phone today. When you try to promote yourself as a value, you can't then, how did we say it, Jerry? Today it was the minimum TAF donation is like $50. And they treat those minimum donation $50 people as if they're $50,000 donors. And we treat the $1,000 donors like they're $50 donors. And we don't, it is a shame that TAF can handle quadruple 10 times over the amount of members that we can. And you know, it's supposed to be a small family operation, essentially, no smaller family operation. But TAF does a much better job of handling their donors because they understand that this is the lifeblood of the program. Like, we need these these donors, and we need these people to always be happy with our product. I don't know if the Louisiana Ragin Cajun Foundation, Athletic Foundation, has figured that out yet. And you can tell me they're understaffed. You can tell me all that stuff. It's like I said on the post game. If you don't have money to promote and you don't have money to have staff, people in place to take care of the people that invest in you, you shouldn't be in business.
Well, the reason why we gave this perspective since the end of the Bustle era is because I wanted to give people a historical perspective of the fans having the wool pull over their heads more than once during that 12-year span. And when you get on probation, when you lose, when you basically feel that you got insulted by the head coach, then COVID hits, you lose trust within the fan base when all of these things happen, because again, we go back to the days of the 80s and 90s when the administration said, well, I don't have to give any money to athletics. I don't have to fund athletics. Good luck. And then you see the result on the field, which is just consistent, just terrible losing to bad teams and just bad quality of opponents and bad experiences and everything. I think at this point, what the perspective I'm bringing now is, okay, so in spite of all this, and to answer a question we have from a fan on thoughts on what we can do to get past this why bother phase, you have to win the event. We've talked about it before. You have to win the event. And prime example, we pay however much for tickets. And I don't care the value for our game compared to this other school and that other school. When you pay for tickets and you have to pay for your seat donation or whatever, you're paying for the event. In other words, you're paying for the experience. So when you pay a premium or you pay how much for your ticket, but then your experience is the scoreboard or the speakers being too loud, or you're waiting in line for 50 minutes for a dry hot dog, or you can't go to the bathroom because of this, and you gotta the beer line's too long, and these experiences, people aren't going to pay for that. They're not going to pay a premium for a bad experience. So that's where I think the solution to that is you have to win the event. We talk about game day operations all the time because that's the event itself. You have to win that because that's how you get people to come back, especially in Lafayette. We have a reputation for festivals. We have a reputation for things like Rhythms on the River. It's very laid back, but there is a value to it because people find a way to have a good time and it's affordable. That's what you're competing against in Lafayette. This isn't 40 years ago when the Cajuns game was the only thing in town. Lafayette's quadrupled in size. It's quadrupled in things to do. Back in 1985, Youngsville didn't have 10 different events going on. The Cajun Dome wasn't even built, so you didn't have competition there. So you have all of these events now that you're competing against. So you have to be able to create an event which a family of four can say, number one, I can afford it. And number two, I'm going to get my money's worth at the Cajuns game than some event going on at Sugar Mill Pond or River Ranch.
Yeah.
And I will go back to the fact that we still need the community to support the team, because for so many years, we just have excuse after excuse after excuse of why we don't. Well, this other team's playing. Well, they do this. Oh, well, we do that. Part of that needs to be, I will die on this sword, we have got to connect with the community better. We got to see more of what we saw on social media this week. Every single game for every single sport. And we got to get a damn mascot to the schools to get the kids to want to come in. Again, if the kids tell mommy and daddy they want to go to the game, mommy and daddy are going to take the kids to the game. but we got to have something the kids can relate to. So we got to get a mascot.
Well,
I'm
let's
going to
talk
say
about
that
the
every
way-
episode for the rest of
Shout
it.
out to the softball team who went around the elementary schools this week.
Yes.
And read to the kids. It's
Fantastic.
almost like somebody was listening to the hollering and screaming this past week.
Well, let's talk that. Let's talk about that for a little bit. So we've noticed that there's been a blitzkrieg from the university and administrators to really push fans to go to this game. We did it all over social media. The hashtag Pack Cajun Field is the campaign is just going crazy in a good way. Let's talk about that a little bit. The initiative to get people to go to the game against Georgia Southern. Last home game, right? Trying to get the students into it again. They're pushing things on campus. Why not do that every game? Why not do that every game?
Exactly. It shouldn't take us getting on. And look, what I love about this platform that we have, that you guys created and started and make happen, and I just joined in at the end and take all the credit for. What's so great about this medium is that we get to speak on behalf of the fans. Now, not every fan's going to agree with what we say or our position on things, but in general, all the fans want more people at all of our sporting events, especially football. And the fact that we get to echo what they're feeling and their ideas and what they're thinking, and the administration 2 days later is acting on that, that tells me that, of course, they're listening and they're taking action, which is great. And I love what I've seen. But like you said, Jerry, we have to sustain this across every sport, across every... We can't just do it this time and then not do it again at all next year. We're very famous for doing that. We'll try it once, we'll do it. If it doesn't work out, well, then we scrap it and try something else.
That's exactly right.
We need to be consistent in our approach. Hattiesburg, Mississippi is the best example for me outside of App State, where you have two SEC teams within 100 miles of you guys, but you're still drawing a great crowd because it's in your face marketing. And that got them support from the businesses, that got them support from the students, from the community, and they show up for their games. And we've got to look at what they do and try to expound on that through, again, we can't just try it once. We got to be consistent in our approach. I love what I see, but don't stop.
The other thing is that you can't teach pride. What you can do, is you can educate people on why it's important to know where you came from, why it's important to support the people who support you. And that's partially, I take that as kind of our mission, but local media can do that. The school itself can do that. The paper that they own can do that. The two radio stations that one of them they own and the other one that they're very involved with. We got to do a better job of connecting with fans. And how can you not understand that sporting events are quite literally the biggest marketing tool? The front porch of the university is a cliche, but man, it just brings people together. It gives you an opportunity to have an event on a Saturday, a Sunday, a Tuesday, a Thursday, whatever. But we've got to start taking advantage of these things and not just like paying it lip service, like actually using the tool. I haven't seen it, since I've been there. So I think that's another thing that we need to really pay attention to. And until we utilize what we already have, it's like Jerry said, we have so many low-cost things that we do here as a culture that we could use as a university to promote, to connect, to get people in, to recruit. Some of these skiers that we were just talking to were recruited on Facebook. Now, I'm not going to say that that's going to be, you can't do that in football and baseball and basketball, but just to say, like, you can, in 2022, you can connect in a multitude of different ways. There's no way that we keep dropping the ball on just getting people together, making things an event like it should be.
And not only that, we should, Lafayette, as many events as we host and we've created and we grow, I feel like if we don't have a master's degree in hospitality, we should. And every single one of those students should be at the games helping to make it better. Because they do. You can go to Downtown Alive and wait 2 seconds for, it is a $20 bottle of water, but you don't have to wait in a huge line to get something. It takes you 5 seconds to get there. Go to Festival à Cajun. You have 30 different restaurants handing out food with no wait. Festival International. We've got to get the people who do these events so well. We got to get them involved and get their ideas and find out how we can do better. We should never stop trying to do better.
But
Now,
Nick, sorry, Jerry, real quick. We do have a master's degree in all those things. Like,
so what good is it doing?
Well, I'm gonna tell you what it is. They've chased the fan off. We talk about this all the time. They've chased the fan off. We've got, and I'm not gonna name names, and I'm sorry if this is gonna step on toes, but it is what it is. It's what I do. Sorry. You can't come in here from another place and tell me how to be a Cajun. You can't come in from another place and tell me, oh no, what you're doing doesn't work. This is how it's done. Do I think that a lot of the people we've brought in don't have talent? No, I think they have I think they're all very capable people. I think they're good at their jobs for the most part. But you can't come in here and tell me how to be cultured in this environment. I grew up doing this. I do this in my sleep. I do this every weekend. My family comes over. We do it repeatedly. I do this on a Tuesday afternoon just because it's what we want to do. When we get into the tailgate and we get into our element, cooking, drinking, hanging out, having conversation, making people feel welcome and connecting others, I'll go back to the story I told in the postgame. All the Troy wives from the coaches, they came in, they hung out with us for 3 hours because they just felt the communal experience. They were thrilled that we even offered them a drink or a plate of gumbo. They loved it. Our fans know how to do it. Our alumni know how to do it. This community knows how to do it. We are not utilizing it. That the disconnect is from the top to the very, very bottom. The smallest fan that used to pay $0 to tailgate against the fence along Gilboa and Congress. That's where we're missing the mark. Our fans know how to do it. We have a master's degree in welcoming people and getting people together. The disconnect is how do we market it? It's not being marketed properly. Go ahead, Jared.
Well, I was going to say, I think the problem is that we take our culture for granted. And what I mean by that is it's easy when you go across state lines, and Nick, you can relate to this, you're in Texas, and you bring up something like boudin, right?
Or as they call it here, boudin. Yeah.
Boudin. It becomes a delicacy to those people, right? Because it's not something they see every day. Here, I've got 5 or 6 grocery stores in a 2-mile radius that I can go get a link of boudin if I wanted it. Those are the type of things we have every day. And those are the type of things that we are accustomed to that not everybody else is anywhere in any part of the state or even the country. So our culture that we have every day, that we see every day, we can go get plate lunches, we can eat crawfish and do all these things that people come to Cajun country as tourists to experience. That's what we need to market. But we can't take it for granted. Just because we see it every day doesn't mean it's not unique to somebody from Alabama or Missouri or Illinois or wherever they're from, whether they're coming in as a tourist, coming in as a visiting an opposing team's fan, or just coming to work here. That's what we need to market is our culture. We have to market our culture and find a way to make money off of it and create revenue off of it, but not take it for granted because we think it's normal. Another thing too is, for games here, like I mentioned, Lafayette isn't what it was 40 years ago. It has grown a lot. There's a lot more things to do here. In my opinion, and Josh, I mentioned this morning in our conversation. The football schedule comes out, what, May of whenever that year before the season?
It's in the spring.
In the spring. You've got 4 to 5 months to prepare. You got your home schedule. You know what days you play. Take a look around town. Take a look at what festivals going on. Take a look at concerts happening, what type of conventions or events are going on at the Cajun Dome that far in advance, and find a way to run promotions to that game that complements those events so you're not competing against those particular events. Because what I hear a lot is, well, we have this festival going on in New Iberia or Crawley, and people are just going to go there instead. Well, did we do anything to counter that?
No. That's craziness. You don't counter it. You combine forces. You find a way to make your event. You put them together. You make them copacetic. You join forces with them, man. That's how you do it. You don't take away from the other crowd. You enhance the experience. Have an Annex 10. I keep talking about that.
Well, I think that's one solution, but what I'm saying is, though, is there's people to go around. The population's big enough to where if you want to experience both or bring a crowd in, you can do both and not have a problem. I mean, how many times have we had Festival International the same weekend as baseball, and yet we still have a packed Teague, in spite of Festival being walking distance, to where the buses are picking you up in the same parking lot to bring you downtown.
And you're still during Mardi Gras when you can't even park in the stadium.
You got the parade rolling right by the stadium, and yet the Teague's still packed. Why is that? Because they're, number one, they complement the event. In advance, they bring those big teams in that weekend because they know they're going to enjoy Mardi Gras. But also, too, they plan in advance. They plan it. They make the schedule that complements that weekend, knowing that you can bring a big team and there's going to be fans that are going to stay put and go to the parade.
But you know why? The people that are in the Teague are there to watch baseball, Jerry. The people that are in Cajun Field right now are there because it's cheap and it's something to do on a Saturday.
Well, that's
the flat out truth, man. You don't have the diehards anymore. They're doing something else right now because you chase them away from the tailgate.
But at the same time, you got to start somewhere, Josh. You got to take one step forward. And the first step you take forward is making sure that you try to avoid any type of scheduling conflict by actually taking advantage of it. And so I think that's a start. And then secondly, you got to create an environment. You got to create an environment and win the event. Those are some solutions right there. I mean, if anybody's listening, hey, write it down. I don't know. I'm just a fan. I'm just a fan giving feedback right now.
Look, it starts to me, it starts with the students. We got to get students to the game, whatever that takes, because there you're building fans for life if you create a good experience for the students. Secondly, like I said, the kids, we need to get the kids to the game, because back in 2014, when we made the bowl game, if you go and look back, there were a lot of older fans that drove to New Orleans to enjoy that time. We're almost 10 years later. Those older fans are maybe too old to go to the games, or not really, they might have been in their 50s. Now they're in their 60s. They're not really feeling going in on a Thursday night to watch a game when they could watch it on TV. But we haven't fostered the student experience and the kids growing up in the culture. And I think that's where you're going to see a huge drop off too, is that a lot of our diehards are aging and they're just not going to the games anymore. It's too much of a hassle. It's not worth it to them.
And that's one of the big problems we have, is that we're fighting that. We have an older fan base. And what have we done to fill the void? Not much. I don't want to get too bogged in, because I want to continue to go down the rundown here. But the last thing I'm going to say, and Jerry, I'll let you have the final word.
Go ahead.
Last thing I'm going to say is let our fans loose. Just let them loose. Just let them. You said we got to market the culture. I disagree a little bit. We need to market our people, because Ragin' Cajun means something to me. A Ragin' Cajun is me. It's you. It's Nick. It's everybody that shows up in the rain, in their mud, in their rubber boots in the mud on a Saturday, regardless of what's going on. That's Ragin' Cajun to me. We need to market our people and what their ability is, and that is to get people to the games. And my very last thing is, I'm not sorry for what I said on Saturday. What I said on Saturday was raw passion. It needed to be said. And I'm not dense enough to think that what we said on this podcast made the Pack Cajun Field thing take off. But I will say it didn't hurt it. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, to clarify a little bit on the culture, as far as marketing the culture, is the fact that when I go to a local grocery store and get a meatball stew as a plate lunch, that's what being a Ragin' Cajun is. Those are the type of things that I think we take for granted a lot, that we can turn that into a marketing opportunity. When I go to, sit and have a few beers and listen to Jamie Bergeron on Spotify, that's what a Cajun is, But yeah, right. but those are the kind of things that we do that make us unique. But there's a way. But there's a way we can capitalize on that without trying to outprice the fan. One other thing I wanted to say was, as far as the students go, I know we're really pushing for the students to show up to the games tomorrow night. And look, to the students, if you're listening, support this team one more time. But also, too, we have to quit playing musical chairs with our students. Quit moving them around. Quit moving their tailgate back and forth. If they say, "Hey, number 5, you're a terrible football player," and say something rated PG, don't throw them out unless they really do something dumb.
Or you don't like the sound of their voice.
Because remember, those are your future season ticket holders. Those are your future RCAF donors. We talk about an age gap in fan support. Those are your that's your low hanging fruit right there that can potentially one day your $100,000 donor. So if you alienate them now, you think they're going to come back and want to give money and buy season tickets and support the program? No. You know what they're going to do? They're going to look back at the time they got thrown out the game for saying something PG, and they're never going to want to support the team. They're going to go somewhere else or go across the basin. So understand, take advantage at the fact that those students in the student section tomorrow night may be a big donor one day. That experience at the game may give them a reason to be a lifelong fan and you know, be a big booster and be somebody who'll buy season tickets for the next 50 or 60 years.
Well said. Nick, anything?
No, I think we've beaten this to death.
That's what she said. Anyway, so here's the thing, man. Christian's on like 4 different platforms asking me the same question. I will give you koozies tomorrow, dude. Hit me up right around kickoff time, or be about an hour before kickoff time, and I will find you and we'll get you some koozies. But the only way is if you're gonna use it throughout the entire game. You got to post pictures. You got to ride for the pod. That's the only way you get them free koozies.
So, oh yeah. We're not giving it away for free. You got to put some work into it, right?
Because he will take it back like he took mine that he gave me and then left with it.
It's a privilege to get our.
That was an accident. So real quick, I've been inundated with requests to take on this issue. There have been reports that there was a student athlete at UL across the basin while we were hollering and screaming about the Tigers, and he was proudly displaying purple and gold, and I think he was on the field actually somehow. So the question is, this is a hotly contested situation on Ragin' Cajun and on Twitter too. Ragin' Cajun players, athletes, current, on scholarship, across the basin in purple and puke. Nick, I'm going to start with you on this one. How do you feel about it? Go ahead. I don't want to spend a ton of time on it. Let's just give a couple takes and then we'll move.
Yeah, I think it's a big deal? No, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Personally, I was raised to be loyal to my family, my faith, and it's ingrained in me. I look back, my dad was in politics and he ran for office. I still hate the people that politicked against him. Like, I'm still pissed at him, like 30 years later. So I have this just ingrained loyalty, and the same with my sports teams. I will never cheer for, I'll watch the Texans and go, yay, I live in Houston, go Texans, but I'll always be a diehard Saints fan. I will never put another team's colors on. That's me. And that's a diehard fan. That's you, Jerry. That's you, Josh. That's who we are. But not everybody's like that, and I get it. And look, my thing is, don't wear another team's colors. Like, if I were a coach and you're on my team, I'm gonna say, look, you can go watch other games. I encourage you to go watch other games. Go and see the experience and see other players, and maybe you'll pick up some tips there. But just don't wear other teams' colors. Like, you don't have to wear Louisiana when you go to another team.
Or post it.
Or post it,
thing.
right? Like,
now, kids nowadays post everything. I understand they post what they damn eat.
Right.
Like, I get it, but
right. But it hurts. It hurts us especially because we're so loyal to our program, and that is just not that. Look at the transfer portal. There'll be guys that are committed. Look at a certain player who was committed to the culture day one, and then day two he's going across the basin. It's the same thing. That loyalty is just not there for everyone. So we just need to accept that that's how it is. Am I happy about it? I'm not thrilled. But am I going to go trash the kid? No, absolutely not. I think it's a poor decision, but it's not me to judge, right?
I agree with pretty much almost everything Nick just said. When I was in high school, I remember my freshman year, our disciplinarian would come and talk to us, and he would tell us, Jesuit, we're the Blue Jays, and that's our mascot. He would always say, you're a Blue Jay 24/7, which means when you leave school and you go out to a party or you go out anywhere in public, you are a Blue Jay 24/7, which means you represent this school, regardless of who you talk to, what you do. You represent this school. You are an ambassador to this high school. I say the same thing about student athletes or just students in general. Our student athletes are Ragin' Cajuns 24/7. When they leave campus and they go out to other games, they go out to parties, they go out to socials, they go out, hang out with their friends, go on a date, go out to the club, you are a Ragin' Cajun 24/7. It's the same reason why we get upset when we hear a player gets in a fight somewhere at a bar, and we know they're young kids, they're kids that are still learning in many ways, but at the same time, you still represent the Ragin' Cajun emblem. You still represent this university. You still represent this community in many ways. I've told that to a few players in the past. When you go out in public, you represent this university, you represent this team, you represent me as a fan. So when somebody wears another team's colors, whether it's respect to them or you going hang out with your friends, I think that's a little over the line because you're not representing that school. You're representing us. To me, if I were that student athlete, I probably would have worn neutral colors. Doesn't mean you can't go to the game. I mean, you can't go pull for that team if you have a friend on the team to show them support. But either way, to me, it's either wear Raging Cajun colors or don't wear any colors at all. Because at the end, you were still in Cajun. Now, am I gonna bash the kid? I think some of these fans have been pretty. Some fans have been a little more harsher than others, and I just hope, if anything, the coaches got a hold of it. I hope that this is a lesson for this young athlete. I hope it's something that he can learn. I hope it's something that he understands when it comes to loyalty. That is a word that we've thrown around this week, is loyalty. Be loyal to your school. Again, you're an ambassador to this university. You're a Raging Cajun 24/7. Raging Cajun first. Everything else is irrelevant to me.
Last thing I'm gonna say on this: when's the last time you saw Jake Delhomme wear another school's colors, or Peanut, or even Elford Payton? Or how about, let's go across the basin, Joe Burrow? You think he's gonna wear an Ohio State shirt? Or Shaq? Shaq basically lives in Lafayette. He ain't wearing UL stuff. So yeah, be loyal to the program that got you to where you're at or where you're going.
Loyalty is it's a dying thing. I mean, people with backbone in general is pretty much a dying thing. There's a reason why we didn't use his name, because that'd be inappropriate. That we had certain fans that were suggesting that he would be thrown off the team or suspended or benched because he's fighting for a starting position. And I don't agree with any of that. However, I think that he should be sat down by these coaches and said, hey, man, there's a reason why you're on scholarship here. We gave you a chance when nobody else would. That should mean something to you. Now, is it a young mistake? Could be. And maybe he did have a friend on the team. And maybe he was there because his brother went to LSU or his parents graduated, whatever. You got to have self-awareness, all right? Again, like you guys said, there's a reason why our legends, there's a reason why Peanut Tillman is on TV, on Fox, and on Twitter and all these things, and he says Louisiana Raging Cajuns. He's not wearing anything else. He's from Florida. There's a reason why. He bleeds this place. He's loyal. We gave him a chance. You got to have self-awareness. I would love, and the other thing is that we talk about loyalty a lot because I think that in this area, we still believe in it more than most. And that's just, I'm just thinking out loud. If that happened on a Tony Robichaux team, I promise you there was a conversation being had.
Oh, look, there was an issue with one of the assistant coaches who shall not be named back in the day, who somebody walked in with an LSU hat and he knocked it off his head.
So there you go. I would love for people to go talk to Handsome Monica and ask them about one of their teammates wearing LSU. Because I know for a fact that guy hated that team. Go ask Papo Ramos or DeJesus.
Terry Johnson.
Terry Johnson. DeJesus. You remember those brawls back then? Go ask Nate Nelson if one of his teammates would walk into the locker room with an LSU shirt on and see how that went. That's not an accident, guys. Those are names that are on our Hall of Fame wall. There's a reason for that. So should the guy be shunned and stoned and thrown out of town? No, I don't believe that. Should there be a precedent and a standard for that and a conversation had? Absolutely. I don't think we're off base by that. So for JMV and all the others that have asked a million times, no, man, it's not all right. Should he be kicked off? No, but it's not all right. And I think he's going to get an education here in a minute, if he hasn't already, by the way. Moving on, we really didn't cover a lot of Troy, and there's a reason for that. The attendance was a lot more important. Losing to Troy, we'll forget about that in 2 years. Having less than 8,000 people at a senior night, that's going to be on the record books forever. So we spent the majority of the time. Also, our fans drove the conversation. We tried to talk about the game. People wanted to talk about the attendance, and they were justified. So that's where we went. However, we're going to give a couple of parting shots on Troy. I'll start. I was shocked by the offensive line performance without Jax Harrington in the first half, especially. Totally shocked. I thought Zylan Perry was the spark plug that we thought he was when he got some playing time in the Arkansas State game. Thought he looked fantastic. He's got a bright future here, and he's just a true freshman. He's going to put on weight. He's going to get bigger. He's going to get training. He's going to go through a real full off season. That guy's going to be good. I think Kendrell Williams is a man. I mean, he's just flat running linebackers over. It was really good to see. That old Regis Elijah Mitchell running style. Cut back lanes, just north-south running. That was fun to see. So that's some positive takeaway. I thought our defense was as good as they could be until the point where our quarterback was ineffective and the offense just did absolutely nothing. Obviously, the officiating was absolutely atrocious, and we should have never given up that first down not giving up the first down. It was not a pass interference that was called. Should have never happened. We should have gotten the ball back there. And, Nick showed the video in the post game. We did some things well, we turned them over. Defensive line was good. Again, Zion Hill-Green was a monster. And he has an opportunity to break the school sack record on Thursday, which is another reason why you should go to see him and support him. Overall, I thought that we played with a lot of grit. Just ran out of gas. We just ran out of gas. That's the bottom line. Some of the momentum that we had, we lost it with just trying to. I think we fell in love with the running game where it wasn't where it wasn't effective anymore. After Ben got hurt on that helicopter touchdown in the third quarter, it was very obvious that he was limited. I think a lot of it is explainable. Again, you're up 17-0 in the third quarter. I don't expect this defense to give that up. But at the same time, when you go 3 and out, 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 what can you really expect? And it's against a good team. They're 7-2 for a reason. So those are my thoughts on the game. I don't really have anybody individually that I would like to shout out, other than, honestly, Kendrell Williams. It was very, very good. The right side of that offensive line combined was really, really good. Our linebackers were very, very good for 3.5 quarters. And then obviously our secondary always shows up. So, Nick, some positive takeaways from Troy or something that stood out?
Yeah, I think you nailed it with the offensive line play in the first pretty much 2.5 quarters of the game. It was the same story we've seen 2 other times this season. We saw it at ULM, where we were one play away from blowing them out, and then we get beat. We saw it against USM and against Southern Miss. It wasn't like the defense got burned late in the game. They got burned early in the game. But it was the same situations, passes up the middle, outstanding plays by the quarterback that just actually the receiver, because the quarterback was just throwing the ball in the air. They were making the catch, and you felt all the air come out when they started doing that. And then the call, again, not to say that it cost us the game, but it didn't make it any easier when it's 3rd and long and you get a phantom pass interference call to get them first down, and then that's ball game after that. As far as I was concerned, that was our last chance to try to get the ball back and score at least a field goal. So it again, we've seen this group before 3 different times, and the same results all 3 times. So, and we'll talk about the Troy game in just a little bit on how I'm concerned about the way that we lost going into this game, because it's going to it could turn ugly real quick if we don't show up against this high-powered offense of Georgia Southern. Jerry, your thoughts?
I think what hurt the game is you look at the first 3 quarters and you see a team that we pretty much knew all along what we should have been all year. And you defensively, you shut them down pretty much, like, just they couldn't do anything offensively against our vaunted defense. Offensively, we just gashed them. We gashed their front 7 with their rushing attack. Like Josh said, in spite of Jax Harrington being out, we were still able to run the ball pretty much north and south, which we haven't been able to do all season. And this was a top 30 defense going into this game. And on top of that, I also thought we threw the ball pretty well. So we left 6 points off the board. It should have been 23-0 by the end of the third quarter. I don't think I've ever seen a 180 like that in a very long time, to where you basically dominate the game for 3 quarters, and then all of a sudden, not only does Troy wake up, but they just start to out-scheme you, to the point where we had no answer for it in the fourth quarter. Add the fact that Ben, when he dove into that end zone to get that score, he never really recovered after that, and offensively, we just couldn't we couldn't do anything. We couldn't get a first down. We couldn't run the ball. We couldn't pass. It just, to Jim, like quoting Jim Mora.
What to say? Is that a Jim Mora deal?
Yeah, we couldn't run the ball. We didn't try to run the ball. And, in his words, in the second half, we sucked. We couldn't stop the run. Every time they got the ball, they went down and got points. I think of that clip and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what happened to us.
We didn't do diddly poo.
Couldn't do diddly poo offensively. I mean, it's word for word. It was exactly what he said in that quote. But I think what hurts is defensively, I don't think I've seen a collapse like that from our defense all year, and that includes the Rice game in the fourth quarter. Troy couldn't throw all game. They just gashed us in the passing game in the fourth quarter.
We saw it against USM, Southern Miss. We definitely saw it against them.
We did, but we were able to adjust to it. Like we dominated for 3 quarters. Kept them scoreless.
I don't know if I'm going to call it a collapse though, Jerry, because what happened at the end of the third quarter, they totally abandoned the running game. And as soon as they opened it up and abandoned the running game, after we were going 3 and out over and over, I mean, we were gassed. And then Lamar started playing that prevent stuff because he knew we were gassed, very similar to ULM, and we had a similar result. But at the same time, what are you going to do? Ask these guys that they can't even breathe to play press coverage, and I mean, what are you going to get burnt? So it's kind of a catch-22, and I understand why he did what he did. I don't know if I agree. I just understand what he did. I don't put it on the defense, though. And this is where I was arguing with Kyle on Saturday. I don't put that on the defense. I put that on the offensive inability to get a first freaking down.
Well, I don't disagree with that. I think you have some valid points there, but also if you look at some of the passes that Troy threw on us in the fourth quarter, I mean, their receivers were making circus catches. And it was to the point, I mean, we got mossed a few times, and I'm like, okay, you could barely get a pass off for 3 quarters, and now you're creating highlight reels for season highlight reels in a span of 15 minutes. That at that point, that's where I'm just like, okay, I understand we're gassed, but you have to be able to cover that. That was where I was kind of like, okay, I know we're tired, I know we've been on the field. But those type of things where they're making circus catches on you, that's where I was kind of thrown off. Now, of course, offensively, I mean, that our performance offensively was atrocious. It was atrocious.
Here's the other thing.
It was atrocious.
The miss when they went to man, like when they went to I say man, that more soft zone. Eric Guerra was on that. I think he was number 8. There, I don't remember his name. That guy was like 6'6", and I love Eric. It wasn't just Eric. I'm not trying to single him out, but he's a smaller corner. I mean, they were throwing 50-50 balls, dude. So, I don't know, man. I still don't want to call it a collapse. I don't think our defense is why we lost the game.
Yeah, I mean, it was just, I mean, I just think it was a fourth quarter collapse all around. And of course, again, we missed 2 field goals, and going into that fourth quarter, it's 23-0. Actually, no, it's 23-7. They scored on the last play of the third quarter, but you're still up.
Well, no, it was 17-7. 17-7.
Right, but they scored on the last play, so it was 17-7 when the quarter started.
Right.
But if you make those 2 field goals, it's 23-7. I mean, that's a 16-point game. That's a big difference. So,
Nick, you let what is this? The porno robots in here? What is that?
Why are you blaming me?
I don't know. Somebody blocked it. I just figured it was you.
Oh man,
y'all got some ex-girlfriends in here or something? What the hell is going on?
I'm not claiming that. That ain't me.
Better not. Get your ass kicked.
Absolutely not. But no. It was just you could not have asked for a worse quarter than the fourth quarter of last week. But I just hope we can respond. See, look, you saw Chris Smith coming off that field. That hurt more than anything. Seeing some of those players.
Man. That's the only thing that gave me hope. I'll be honest with you. Seeing Chris lose his freaking mind, I said it Saturday. That's the only thing that gave me hope. I mean, he was irate, and he should have been, dude. I mean, he should have been. I don't know what's going on the sidelines and the locker rooms. I don't know. I still think we're very healthy from a camaraderie standpoint. I don't get the feeling that we have locker room issues, but his reaction to the end of that game was eye-opening. Hard to watch, but also I was proud, if that makes any amount of sense. So, let's transition to a couple of shout outs that we need to make because the women just started their basketball campaign and they took on a peer institution, but we've come to learn that they were picked to finish third in the AAC and they got top 25 votes. Cajuns beat them in the Dome 55-48 and really led throughout. They had a double-digit lead for the majority of the game. I don't really know how to take the game. Obviously, when you start the season, you get some of these wacky results that don't really represent what the team is capable of. But I think that I think there were some things that you can kind of hang your hat on. In this particular game, there was some. I mean, Gary's always going to play good defense, right? Houston came in as a good scoring team, and we put the clamps on them. We turned them over something like, I don't want to lie to you, I think it was like 13 turnovers that we had in the first half. Let me go ahead and pull it up just so I'm not lying to you. Tamer Johnson had 15 points, 12 rebounds, and 3 assists to lead the 15 points and 12 rebounds to lead the team, and Destiny Rice had 3 assists to lead the team. I'm going to try to find some box score stats because some of this stuff is pretty inspiring if you think about the rest of the season. But yeah, Houston was picked to be good. We always talk about winning and beating peer institutions. That's kind of how we judge ourselves, right? We certainly do that in football and baseball. But I thought it was a fantastic win to start the season. Something to get the fans involved, get the fans excited. I mean, how many times we have these nice runs where we go into conference and we beat what we would call lesser teams, and everybody gets all excited, but they always use excuse, and I say they. I mean, fans, they'll say, well, we're better than Georgia State, or we're better than, insert conference team. This ain't that. This is a well-funded, highly thought of college basketball team for the women.
Future Big 12.
Future Big 12. So, I don't know, man. I think that's an impressive victory. You guys have any thoughts while I gather the rest of these stats for the information?
No, I watched the tail end of the game, and I was excited, man. Again, we're not talking about beating, a Southeast North Dakota River State University. We're talking about beating a future Big 12 program, and we know what their men's basketball team is like. So you got to think that their women's program is going to be solid this year as well. So kudos to Gary and the rest of that crew. Yeah, that was fun to watch.
So I just pulled it up. Opponent turnovers 22 total. We scored 19 points off of that 22.
It's awesome.
So 19 of our 55 points came directly off a turnover. I mean, that's Gary ball in a nutshell. That's exactly how they want to win. Jerry, what are your thoughts? I think in the second half or second quarter, I think they held Houston to like 2 of 13, and that's when they really ran away from them. I'm going to keep looking for stats.
I was going to say defensively, I thought they played great. To open up the season against a quality opponent, against a quality opponent like Houston, that's always an impressive win. Anytime you beat Houston in anything, especially basketball, that's impressive. And, we've played them in the past and they've gotten the best of us, but to open up the season at home like that, there's a lot of expectations for this team. So this is definitely a great way to start.
Yeah, I agree. The largest lead of the game was 19 points. So really, I mean, led throughout. And kudos to them. That's a hell of a way to start. Especially in the Dome in front of your home fans. That's a good way to start. That's how you do it. Gary's going to play a certain type of ball. He's going to turn you over. He's going to press you. He's going to play defense. Seems like we have enough talent to score. Do you guys know if Troy is going to be the team we're trying to chase down again this year? No?
We're the team people are trying to chase down this year, baby.
Now we're talking. All right, so shout out to the women. Way to start. Cajuns volleyball, they're getting ready to start their conference tournament journey. They will take on, well, let's see. I guess it hasn't been posted yet, but the tournament's going to start November the 16th. And they haven't posted game time just yet. But it's in Foley, Alabama at the complex. I mean, it's going to be streamed so you guys can watch it on ESPN+. But volleyball team is playing well down the stretch. Kind of took one on the chin against USM in that the last game of the last series of the 2022 campaign. But really, really a competitive match throughout. I don't think any team won a set by more than 3. So a lot of fun. A lot of fun to be in the environment and to watch the team progress. So keep up with volleyball. They have an opportunity to go win a conference championship and make a deep run into the I'll tell you what, I'm wrong on that. Backtrack. November the 16th is the Sun Belt Conference Championship, but we play App State on Friday at 5 p.m. Central, 6 Eastern, and that's in Boone. So we'll play them at 5, and then we're going to play on Saturday at noon Central. App State, a little bit underwhelming this year. I'm not sure what their history looks like, but obviously the Cajuns will be favored in this contest. So I apologize for jumping the gun there. I didn't realize we had one more regular season matchup, but it looks like we have an opportunity to win. So everybody watch volleyball, and I'll edit that out to make Jerry happy.
I love the fan support, though. I'm going to say that again.
Oh, dude, it's
man.
so awesome.
Our fans have just been so great. It's fun to watch. Like I said, I watch it obviously from Houston, but watching it on the stream and hearing the fan support, and I get into it. It's fun. Fun to watch.
Yeah, you can't not. It's too fun. It's too they're too rowdy, man. The fans are nuts. They have wigs and flags, and they paint their face. It's awesome. When Coastal and App were playing the other night, I switched the game to the stream of Cajuns volleyball. And Catherine goes, "Are you watching volleyball over football? Is that really happening right now?" So that was new in the house. Jerry, your thoughts on volleyball before we move?
Well, in EK Long, the atmosphere they've created, 1,500 fans sounds like 15,000. And this team is getting better. They've improved as the season has gone on. And even in their losses, they've competed. There really isn't there weren't many matches later this year that really seemed like they were quote unquote blowouts even in their losses. They're
now,
very competitive.
In
team.
fairness, Texas State collapse is pretty good.
Yeah, but
outside of that.
But look, even in Texas State, we were still competitive in many ways. The problem was Texas State just ran away with it later on in the match. And I think to Texas State's credit, they are the standard of the conference. So I think eventually we'll get there. There's some growing pains against teams like that. But if you look at some of our other matches, even against Southern Miss, I think we lost in 5 sets, toe to toe. So, and they're pretty good.
They were really good. Their number
really
23 was absurd.
Yeah, Coach Gray has his team going in the right direction, and I'm really curious to see what they're going to do in the tournament. I wish them well and hope that they can compete.
Okay, back to the gridiron. Georgia Southern on Thursday. Before we get to Nick's preview, I'm going to say a little bit of the know before you go stuff, because I think that's important. We kind of talk about the operations and event staff not really promoting enough, but maybe we can do a little more. So we're going to do that. I read this morning. Per the RCAF, you can start bringing in your RVs. If you're in the RV lot, you can start bringing in your RVs as of 5 p.m. this afternoon on Wednesday, and they have to be gone by 8 a.m. on Friday. That's the deal. So if you're in the RV lot tonight, Wednesday, 5 p.m., 8 a.m. Friday. That's the deal. Parking gates 1 and 5 will be open at 8 a.m. on Thursday morning. Obviously, parking pass is required after 2 p.m. Everybody remember that. Cajun Dome box office opens at 9 a.m., so if you don't have tickets, you can go in there and get that. At 2 p.m., ticket booth at Russo Park opens. The Our Lady of Lourdes family tailgate at Russo Park opens. Hopefully, they'll have football on. I don't know what they would be showing at 2 p.m. Maybe they can just show some reruns of 2021 for us. That would be good for the soul. And then all parking gates open. Cajun Walk, 3:55 p.m. Music Under the Oaks featuring Rude Crew, 4:30 p.m. At 5:15, Pride of Acadiana Pep Rally right next to Russo. At 5:30, the stadium gates will open. 6:15, the POA will do their performance. And at 6:30, kickoff against Georgia Southern. At halftime, the Stunt Dogs will have a special performance. Hopefully, that will be better than the Looney Tunes performance which was not expected. I'll go with that. Although I was shocked at how many of the old Looney Tunes songs I actually remembered.
It's a throwback to when they did Sounds of Spain after Southern just goes out and like he crushes it, and then we come out with Sounds of Spain.
I remember that. Yeah.
Oh no, what were they gonna do? You know, we're beating Troy. It was 10-0 at the time, and fans are kind of hollering about how it ended, and they come out and play DuckTales. DuckTales. I mean, we did that. That really happened. We played DuckTales. Ohio State's out here doing dinosaurs with the neck and everything. We're playing DuckTales. Anyway, no shot at the POA. Love you guys. It's not your fault. Anyway, Georgia Southern, formidable opponent. They're going to sling it around. They can score. I don't know if their defense is even remotely close to what the defense of old was like, but I hear we're going to learn about it. So, Nick, take it away.
Well, no, their defense is not anywhere near what they used to be. Like you said, they can score some points. They scored an average of 36 points a game, but in response to that, they also give up 31 points a game, which has really been their downfall this season. As far as rushing yards, they're relatively even with us. We've got 1,372. They've got 1,400 yards of rushing, but their rushing yards they've allowed 2,100 rushing yards this season compared to our 1,300. Passing yards, 3,000 yards of passing this season, which is unbelievable. But then again, they gave up 2,300 passing yards allowed this season. So, needless to say, their defense is going to have, or rather, our defense is going to have our work cut out for us when we play Georgia Southern this coming Thursday night. Touchdowns this season, we've got 29. They've got 41. So again, just pointing to the fact that they can score and they can move the ball. On the other side, defensively, they've also given up 36 touchdowns this season to our 25. The one thing that I think is going to be key is they are really, really good on third down conversions. They're 53% on the season in third down and 50% on fourth down. So it's going to be really important that we stop them on third and long and not third and short, because they will go for it, and they have a really good success rate there. Going back to defense and offense, we're ranked 34 in defense. Georgia Southern is ranked 129 out of 130 in total defense this season.
Yikes.
So, yeah, that's a big discrepancy. But on the flip side, they're ranked 18th in total offense. We're ranked 93. So, I mean, it's almost the exact opposite there. Kyle Van Treese thrown for 2,900 yards on the season, 20 touchdowns. He averages 331 yards in the air a game. So he's gonna be a challenge. They've got 4 receivers with 400 yards or more this season, led by Caleb Bood. I hope I'm saying that right. He's got 685 yards and 2 touchdowns this season. So yeah, they're dangerous offensively. Leading rusher Jalen White is he's got 763 yards on the ground, 10 touchdowns, averages 82 yards a game. Now, again, defensively, they do have some good defensive backs. Marquez Watson Trent has 34 solo tackles this season. Also, another good defensive back to watch is Wyland Free. He's got 38. A good linebacker in Anthony Wilson. But again, they give up yards and they give up points as well. So it'll be an interesting battle to see who gets the best. Is it going to be our defense against their really, really good offense, or is it going to be their defense against our relatively middle of the road offense? We'll see what happens on Thursday night. I will say the one thing that does scare me a little bit is that we haven't scored, I think, over 30 points. Going back, I'm looking at the schedule right now. We've scored 30 points twice this season, once against Arkansas State and once against Eastern Michigan. And when you look at Georgia Southern, I mean, they've only scored less than 30 points once out of the last 6 ball games. I mean, they score 30 or more on a regular basis. So we've got our work cut out for us. If we get into a situation where their offense is blowing it up and we have to come back and try to catch up, that's going to be, I don't know that we have the firepower right now to do that, unless there is a lightning delay. If we can get a lightning delay, maybe things could happen, but it'll definitely be a challenge. Don't let their record fool you. I know they're let's go back and look. They are 2-3 in conference and 5-4 overall. But again, they did beat Nebraska. They lost narrowly to Coastal. They beat James Madison, and we know that would, James Madison was rolling there for a while, and lost a close one to South Alabama. So don't let the record fool you. They're a good ball team coming in town.
I agree 100%. First of all, we cannot get into an offensive shootout. Cannot. I do like that our secondary, again, is the backbone of our team, and it's going to be up against their strength, obviously. One thing that I think it hurt us a lot against USM is that we had to travel, and we were both coming off of short weeks. That extra time at home, not having to travel, I think it's a huge advantage. So getting them at home gives me a little bit of confidence, and I know our guys are pissed and a little bit hurt, honestly. I think we're going to get our best effort on Thursday. I really do believe that. To your point about their schedule, they had a late lead against Coastal, at Coastal. They blew it. It was 30-22 at one point, and they ended up losing that game. And I mean, I think there were like 6 minutes left, and they ended up losing that game. You look at Georgia State, you go to Georgia State, and I get it. You're on the road 2 weeks in a row. You lose to Georgia State, my pick to win the East. Look like a moron, but Georgia State's not a pushover team. They've got talent. They're physical. That is a very interesting game, and that's a heated rivalry. On the road, that's tough coming off of that Coastal loss. James Madison got bit by the top 25 bug. As soon as they got ranked, they go down to Georgia Southern, and they lose because that's what happens to Sun Belt teams. As soon as we get ranked, we lose. Georgia Southern had a very tough-fought win against Old Dominion, but I think that they matched up well against each other. And that was one hell of a football game, by the way, if you watch that game. The South Alabama game, man. Georgia Southern was up 17-0 in that game. They really controlled the first half, similar to what happened with us in Troy, but they got into a shootout in the second half. And we all know what we saw at South Al. That's a good football team. The fact that they had them on the ropes the entire game and then it went deep, that tells me Georgia Southern's a good team. And they're playing well. And if they're going to try to beat us over the top, while I do feel good about having them at home and I do feel good about our secondary, if the offense can't get it going, bad recipe. Jerry, thoughts on Georgia Southern?
One thing that surprised me about Georgia Southern this year, I know most of their fans, when Clay Helton took the job, that they would take away that offensive identity of running that sort of spread triple option offense that they've always run. But their passing game has been outstanding this season. If you look at some of their highlights, they throw the ball well. That's something that I think we're going to have to be prepared for, especially with the way we played in the fourth quarter last week against Troy. This game, to me, or the key to this game, is stopping their offense. If we stop their offense, and look, they might score on us. I would not be surprised if they score on us. But if it's to the point where we can limit them and force some turnovers, I think our offense is good enough to go against their defense and score points. Their defense is not impressive. They don't impress me too much. But what they've been able to do is they've been able to outscore teams in their games and shootouts. It's like you said, Josh, you don't want to get into a shootout with this team because now you're playing in their wheelhouse. So I think if we're able to stop their offense, I think if we're able to force some turnovers and take advantage of it by, turning the ball, forcing turnovers and getting points off those turnovers, being at home, that 5-day turnaround, I think that's going to work in our favor. So really, I'm just excited to see what our defense can do and what they can do to limit that high-powered Georgia Southern offense. That's the matchup I'm looking forward to because I think we will score. I have no doubt we will score.
It just depends which team shows up for us. Honestly.
That's it.
Because we've been so inconsistent this season. We come out, look like world beaters against Marshall, and then we go, against Arkansas State and look like we're going to, run the table, and then we have the Southern Miss debacle followed by Troy. So whichever team, hopefully it's the team that has its act together because they, like you said, Josh, we can't afford to get in a shootout with them.
It's not that we don't have the talent. It's just not how we run our offense. It's just not what we're built for. So anyway, before we get to Man, I Tell You What, real quick, I want to mention all the promotions. Okay, so tomorrow, free parking, Lot E. Tomorrow, students get free fanny packs. Tomorrow, students get free prizes. Did you guys see that tweet? They're giving away prizes. Haven't seen that since like my freshman year.
I'm excited about the fanny pack. I wish I were a student.
I'm stealing
one.
I'm 100% stealing one. So anyway, I don't know if I'm sure there are discount tickets, $10, right? $10 discount tickets, $2 dogs, $2 natties. So chug a lug, right? Got that going on. There, any promotion you can think of, guys, they're rolling out the red carpet. We can never ever have a repeat of what happened on Saturday. We have to erase that from our brains, and we cannot be known like that. That's not, we're better than that. Regardless of the ineptitude of whatever administrator you think of or whatever, regardless of that, at some point you still have to take pride in where you come from. So today we're imploring you, get to the field. Go have some fun. Last time you get to see some of these guys, and I'm talking about names like Quibb and Braylon Edwards and Braylon Trahan. You guys remember Braylon was from Michigan, right? Zion Hill Green and Eric Guerra and Chris Smith and all these guys that, household names that we've all, just come to love over the years. Like, you got to go see them. Johnny Lumpkin, I can go on and on. Get out there, have some fun. It's a Thursday afternoon. It's a reason to take off of work on Friday, whatever you got to do. All right. Go take care of these guys. They deserve it. They work hard for you. I know they're 4-5. I know we didn't get the results that we were looking for this year. Go say thanks. It's the last opportunity to do so. I don't think that's too much to ask at this point. And I'll leave it at that. You guys know, and there's probably even more promotions that I didn't even get to because I don't really follow the promotions. I go to the game to watch the football, so I don't really pay a lot of attention to that. But turns out there's going to be a ton of free stuff and also some really good music before and during the game. So everybody needs to show up if at all possible.
Man, I tell you what.
Man, I tell you what. Tomorrow night, 6 p.m., Georgia Southern. Your last chance to say thank you to the seniors. Your last chance to cheer on your Cajuns to victory. Cajun Nation, the university, is going all out to promote this game. You see all kinds of hashtags such as Pack Cajun Field and Go Cajuns to the students, to the fans, to the community. So for one last time, let's make this a grand finale for the 2022 home stretch. Be there at Cajun Field because when it's all said and done, we're a lot better than just a crowd of 7,888 fans. Let's double that, triple that, quadruple that, and let's bring home a victory one last time for these seniors at Cajun Field. See you tomorrow, Cajun Nation, and as always, go Cajuns.
Indeed. Thanks, Gordon McKernan. We will see you guys at the field. Thank you, Darren Doming and Lafayette Roofing. Thank you, national champion, Ragin Cajun water ski team, and Coach Ryan Gonzalez. What a pleasure that was. Guys, we're winding it down. Go support your football team. They deserve it. If you like what we do here, please hit the subscribe button. Like, share, comment, rate, review. Twitter, Twitch, the Gram, TikTok, all over everywhere, taking over the world. I think we're on LinkedIn now, or we're about to be. Who knows? Also, thanks to Trey Amos, who did a little video for us today, trying to pump up the crowd and the environment and the participation. I mean, it was cool to work with him. Be on the lookout for more stuff coming from Ragin Review. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight, everybody. We'll see you against Georgia Southern at the Swamp. Go Cajuns.